Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryandam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sagana Vavadu, Sagana Punattu, Sakavidyam Karavavakai, Tejasvina Vadita Mustumavat Vishavake. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yogena Chittasya Patena Vacham, Malam Sarigasya Cha Vaityakena, Yopa Karotam Prabaram Munina, Patanjali Pranjali Manatosmi. Good morning to you. So we are looking at the 5 sutras which are giving us the definition and the importance of Abhyasa and Vairagya. So we just recap, maybe we just read those 5 and then we recap. So I will say the words, padas, and then I have a full sutras. Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tat Nirodha. Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tan Nirodha. Tatra Sthitau Yatnaha Abhyasaka.
Tatra Sthitau Abhyasah.
Tatra Sthitau Yatno Abhyasaka.
Tatra Sthitau Yatno Abhyasah.
Saha Tu Dirghakala Nairantarya Satkara Asevita Dridabhumihi.
Satu Dirghakala Nairantarya
Satkara Sevito Dridabhumihi.
Satu Dirghakala Nairantarya Satkara Asevita Dridabhumihi.
Dirghakala Nairantarya Satkara Sevito Dridabhumihi.
Drishta Anusraivaka Vishaya Vidrishnasya Vashikara Samya Vairagyam. Drishtanushravika Vishaya Vidrishnasya Vashikara Samya Vairagyam. Tat Param Purushakyate Guna Vaitrishnam.
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 Okay, that's good. What did we see in the last session? We saw Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tat Nirodha. The Bhyam is the, as you know, it's a very special in Sanskrit, the dual form. Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam. That means Abhyasam and Vairagyam. It means by Abhyasam and Vairagyam. By the practice, we use the word dispassion for a moment. Dispassion and practice. What do we get? We get that here is the vritti, chitta vritti, nirodha. So he has connected this sutra with this second sutra, chitta vritti nirodham. So he is now giving you that chitta vritti nirodham is possible by the two things together, abhyasa and vairagya. Then we also saw it looks like it's all our effort, but then we said we also need the Ishvara Anugraham, the grace of the Lord. So therefore the devotion, Ishvara Pranidhanam, we are going to see that later. So therefore, we can say to attain the Chitta Vritti Nirodham, to attain the goal of the yoga, I need three things: Abhyasam and Vairagyam, which is self-initiated, plus the Ishvara's grace. But there is a way to get Ishvara's grace. How? Just being good, just being lovely, just being devoted. So we're going to talk about the bhakti angle to it later. So now we are looking at what is this abhyasam and what is this vairagyam. Then we looked at it with some example of a river from the mountain, one going to the Rakshasa lake in Kailasha and one going to the Manasarovar. With a kind of a Drishtandam, what we are trying to learn is that the Abhyasam and Vairagyam is allowing us to redirect our focus to where we need to focus. In other words, it is avoiding the Chitta Nadi, the river of thoughts, from going into uncontrolled way into the gutters, but we direct them towards what we want to achieve. So therefore, it is all about mind control, mind discipline, mind management. Even though the abhyasam is used for a general word, for anything you do abhyasam, a practice. But here, therefore, we are focusing on yoga abhyasam. So therefore, the definition is going to be more towards the context. We saw that. Then we asked the question, what is this yogic practice? And then Patanjali said, between those means between the abhyasa and the vairagya, he says, abhyasa is that sthitau yatna abhyasaka, that which is pushing towards a steadiness. So he's giving another definition, but everything is very subtle. So the definition is now giving the benefit, the objective of it. How do you know that you are actually doing abhyasam correctly? Because you are moving towards more balanced outlook in life. You are not getting agitated anymore. You don't get anxiety. You don't get grief, undue grief especially. You are more stronger. And you will experience it, because the moment you start practicing it, you suddenly see that there is a change in you, that you are able to really see that you are more stable. Drada bhumihi is going to be there. So again, it's a better qualified definition. Yoga abhyasam is that which will move towards steadiness. The steadiness is basically, therefore, a controlled mind. The second we saw. Then we said, in this there are two important words. Sthitau is the steadiness. Other one is yatna. Potentially don't define it here, but I think we need to understand it. It's going to come back in later. What is this well-defined effort means? Then we saw the word yatna means prayatnam, good effort. One cannot spend time on things which are not the right way of doing things. Then you'll be wasting your time. Your motive may be very good, but you do not know how to do it, but you spend all your time. It is a wasted effort. So therefore, it is implying that you need a teacher, a guru, a knowledge, so that your effort that you're putting in is correct. But also on yourself, you come with a number of positive traits. Utsaham. Utsaham means that is self-jubilant, happy, interested, committed. You can see that, anything that you do, if you have wholeheartedly, if you do it. I understand, but I'm not able to do it. This is where we are going to learn how to become mindfulness, how to be wholeheartedness. What is blocking us to be wholehearted? Because, if you want to speak in a public, or if you want to speak to a person, and if you're not able to speak openly, so then there is something blocking. Same way, anything that you do, if the interest is not revealed expressed. Because there's something is blocking, then what we need to do is to not keep simply preaching, show interest and all that, but you need to go and unblock it. So Patanjali is going to give us important tool sets to unblock it. So utsaham, sahasam. Sahasam means that ability to achieve it. I will do anyway. So that you go, if this ashanam doesn't work, I do another ashanam. Or if this knowledge is not, this dhyanam is not able to practice for myself, I need to find another way of doing it. So not giving up, sahasam, dhairyam. Because you will see changes when you start yoga abhyasam. Or anything that you do, when you focus your mind, without you knowing, you'll be transformed in others' eyes. They'll say, hey, what's happening to you? You look very busy on Sundays, and you don't watch these things. And people see quality change in you. Sometimes they will even frighten you. You look very thin. You look very inward looking. You look very dull. Maybe you are contemplative. Yeah, people say you're dull, but you're not. But then you will change your mind. Maybe I should not be doing this. You need to be dhairyam. You need to have the courage to pass through. So all this we saw. So we saw this abhyasa. Then we went further definition. Well, I know all this. I do happily. I do everything. But I've been practicing yoga for many, many years. It's interesting pastime, but nothing really changes in me. Some may say that. Then you must ask the question, what are you doing? How are you doing? How often are you doing? So here he says, Satu Dirghakala Nairantarya Satkara Asevita Dridabhumi. That means you must do, I think basically he gives you 3 important things. You do it right. Asevita. Pursue it correctly. Satkara Asevita. Dirghakala. You prolong it as long as you need it. If you ask the Yogacharya, they will say forever, for life. Because yoga is to transform your life. Life is what? Life is inseparable from experiences, is it not? Life is inseparable from experiences. Experiences come from thoughts. So yoga is to control the thoughts. Therefore, yoga is for life. Therefore, Dirghakala becomes forever. But of course, you say that to an aspiring student, he'll run away. So therefore, you take it for every abhyasam, every small step. What is the necessary time for it? Nairantaryam. Without gap. You don't do it one day, then you wait for 3 months. No. You got to do every day, every week, every month, whatever this abhyasam is requiring for that. And that's the reason why we do all this. We not even talked about what abhyasam is. Yeah. So we are giving all this what is called the circumstantial definitions. Why this is done? Because it is preparing you that you have to commit for this. Because you will not, what happens is that sometimes you sit down for 3 days and you do some dhyanam and you see some effect. And people climb, your blood pressure comes down and all that. So I don't know. So you feel good about it. Then you say, yeah, I achieved my goal. You give it up. No. Nairantaryam. Continue to do. Because all this is not, you see, if your body is getting better, you're going to see, it has nothing to do with you. The body is not yours. We saw in Vedanta, because who wants this body? The 5 elements want the body. Panchikaranam, we saw that, right? We're just renting it, right? We're just dwelling upon it. It is not yours. That's the reason why, you try to, manage your body, try to nourish it. Still it goes, downstairs. You get ailment, you get problems, because it's not yours. It's not us. So therefore, but when you do yoga, your belongings get better. Not only your body, your house better, your community gets better. That's why do we celebrate some yoga, some siddha, some jnanis sitting somewhere in a cave, no use to the society, right? He's not even doing, he's not even helping anybody. He's not doing any social service. If you go to him, he'll not even talk sometime. And why do we celebrate those people? Because they are like lamp that is lit. Their very existence create very good ambience. So in a family, in a house, in a place of domicile, where you develop this kind of a yogic thought, yogic ambience, tapas. Of course, for own emancipation, own pursuit. But what happens is that everything around you becomes better. That's why even one person in a family commit for that, everybody benefits. That's why they say it's punyam to have somebody born in a family who has become this, and they say even sloga is a sloga which says that if somebody takes renunciation and sannyasa, the whole family is get liberated. Okay, so this is to, of course, advocates sannyasam. So therefore, you have, we are very fortunate to talk about these concepts, and some of us may be pursuing it in good faith, or maybe already doing it. But you are not doing for yourself, you're doing it for everybody else. But even that demarcation will go away. When you talk about vairagyam, you'll see there's some shortcut to vairagyam with Bhagavan Ramana gives you that. The focus can be changed, to be from selfish thought to go and become a selfless person. How can I become a selfless person? You can be a selfless person only if you see yourself in everybody else. So that becomes unconditional love, prem, anandam. And that cannot come unless you have drida buddhi, chitta shuddhi. So the two are very important, very clear mind and steadfast intellect. So everything, 99.9% of the Vedas are only about this two. Why? Because they just write off, knowing Tattvamasi, you got it. The moment you know all this, you have a clear mind, you don't need any more tapas, you don't need, you attain emancipation, you become Brahman, you become everything. Therefore, the Atma Jnanam, getting that is not a problem. It is to qualify for that. Okay, so I'm going to bear on to that, but I think just to let you know why we talk about it. So, this again we saw it, practice is continuous, we all know it. So if we take up, we have these three important qualities: right attitude, prolonged approach, consistency, sustainment. We do that. Now we go to the vairagya. Of course, you need, how can anybody communicate and, give knowledge about vairagyam in a short time? It's impossible because it's very difficult. It's a huge subject and most important subject, misunderstood subject, misplaced subject. But we will therefore inject this every now and then, but we are going to focus it mainly on the Patanjali's context point of view. Sometimes we think vairagyam means giving up. Because it's very easily said, oh, he has gone to sannyasam because he got vairagyam in life. And then, or sometimes they say, yeah, I understand, I want vairagyam, but I will wait for it because I am currently in a job. I just finished university. I'm just going to get married. I'm, in our group, there are a lot of youngsters, to see life, to enjoy life, get married and make money, have children. What has vairagyam got to do? Vairagyam is leading to sannyasam or something like that. And therefore, we shy away from this, which is wrong. So therefore, we see what is not vairagyam, then we see what is vairagyam, and I wanted to tell you that why it is the most treasured virtue that we aspire for. even for our lovely and local life. We say spiritual life. This is a very fashionable one. No, well, the spiritual life. But I don't blame people to say that, because even Vedas direct you like this. No, Atmaloka and Anatmaloka. Anatmaloka is all the loka outside. Atmaloka is my inside one. So there's an inside and outside. Is there any inside and outside? I mean, there's no inside and outside unless you built a wall. There's only one side. There is no space separating two things. So therefore, that's fine. But we have to convert, as a student of Vedanta, we must see the life itself as a spiritual experience. Therefore, spiritual life should be transferred to life spiritual. So can I be a spiritual person and be an employee of a company, write software, or can be a trader, or can be a teacher? Of course we can be. You only elevate your service offering, service level agreement to a level of such compelling proposition that nobody can refuse to buy from you, accept from you. Vairagyam plays an important role there. Therefore, Vairagyam is not hate. Vairagyam is detachment, giving up. Oh, I got Vairagyam on this. I don't drink anymore. I don't drink whiskey or whatever this they call. I don't drink it. I have Vairagyam. No, you don't say that. You know that you hate it, or it is, it's evil. You don't do it. It looks like it's a Vairagyam, but it is not the Vairagyam you're talking about. Or I hate this bitter god. I hate this particular vegetable. So I go to Kashi, and Kashi, you must give up something. Used to Vairagyam, I give up. That's not Vairagyam. Or trouble. We saw in the last session. The Kalmashana Vairagyam. In a graveyard, you see, and somebody is dead, you say everything is impermanent in life. Suddenly everybody becomes a philosopher. Until you come home, you wash your feet, relax, 2 days, forgot. Abhava Vairagyam. You go to Mount Kailash, you go to trekking, you have to drink coffee every day, 6 o'clock, and the guides are not giving you coffee, they're giving you tea. And you say, yeah, I don't care about coffee. I don't need it. I can be without coffee. Abhava Vairagyam. The moment I put the coffee in front of you, yeah, maybe today I will go back to my coffee. You see? All this is about not able to get hold of ourselves. But what is there for Vairagyam? Vairagyam is attention. To get attention. To retain the attention. This is a very, very important word. I mean, somebody asked Bhagavan Ramana, Maharshi, please tell me what is all that you are teaching? And he simply say, attention. Uttishta, Jagrada. You remember that these two words which Vivekananda quotes from the Kathopanishad. For Nachiketan, Lord Yama is telling him, Uttishta, Jagrada, Prapya Vranti Bodhaka. So you get up, having learned, be alert. Jagrada, be alert. Attentive. Attention is the most important resource that you have. We have. That's what defines our life. That's what we do not really value, and that's what is being squandered by everybody else. What does the Facebook do? What does the WhatsApp do? What does the Google do? What all these people do? They want to grab your attention. They tease you with many things. What they need is an attention. They put cookies on your computer. See where you're going, what you're looking for. They offer you that. And they want to retain with you. Who is the master? You or them? So what is attention? So you can say attention is a channel in which your consciousness glows to reveal facts, reveal information. In other words, I'm just trying to bring it in a jargon, but very simply. Attention is when you know something intently. That means you are removing everything else which is not important and focusing on it. But if you take the definition as I gave you, it is a channel in which your consciousness is glowing intently. We are all looking for the consciousness, to be one with the consciousness. Therefore, when you are attending to something, you are attending as consciousness, being not knowing that you are doing that. How does Vairagyam help in attention? I want to give two words. Generally everybody translate attention to dispassion. I think that's fine. But I just want to be a little bit more precise so that dispassion, this is very interesting because, dispassion is even psychology these days is focusing on dispassion. They call it a ethical ideal. In most of the psychic problems comes because you have too much of attachment to things. So to detach from this, we need to play with your passion, where you are passionate about it. So instead of being passionate, you become dispassionate. There's a lot of papers on psychology about this. So, but here what you're going to do, I'm going to say, I want to define a word, focus. So what is focus in the context of attention? Whatever is directing to the attention is focus. So when I say, please focus on what I'm saying now, I am directing your attention to what I am saying. You must think yourself, are you focusing now? That means you are directing your attention to what I am saying. Yes, I am. But when you are focusing that, there are two aspects of your mental faculty, at least two faculties, are focusing on that. What are those two? There are four andhakaranas: Chittam, Buddhi, Manas and Ahankara. Chittam is recording. Chitragupta is just recording everything else. That's fine. Ahankara is there. There's Manas and Buddhi. So when you're listening to, say the example, when you're listening to my words now, the Buddhi is absorbing it. I would say 100% attention means you just absorb Shravanam now, not Mananam. Therefore the Buddhi will not question it, but right now absorbing it. But what happens also, your mind also plays a role. Depending on your biorhythm right now. Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. Emotions. I don't know what emotions you have this morning. What is that very good call that you received or what the bad call that you received? Emotions. Therefore, even though your intellect is focusing and get the attention of it, your mind is not focusing. Therefore, we must remove the emotions from the mind. So I will use the word withdrawing from emotions as the meaning for dispassion. Right? So therefore, to have a focused attention, what do you need? You need the directing the attention, an effort needed, intellectually saying this is important, and withdrawing the emotions. How can I withdraw emotion? I mean, should I be like a stone? This is another misconception, If you go to all this Vairagyam, you become like a stone, not sensitive enough, sensible enough. No. This is about not coloring our judgment. You can, of course, a Vairagi can also smile and make you happy. He can also enjoy the food. But he's detached. The detachment comes from the knife that cuts asunder the emotion. So we use a new word, a focused dispassion. I'm going to call it Vairagya. So I would try to use the word Vairagyam instead of dispassion. You must remember it is a focused dispassion. Okay. So this one, I mean, this is not spiritual stuff. This is normal stuff. Now you should apply in your job, in your life. So it is useful. But here in a yogic context, fine, I can have an attention on it. It may give me the knowledge, but that's not enough. I need to have an abhyasam. So we saw abhyasam before. So what is abhyasam? Just remember, you need to have an effort. The effort has to have intensity. Intensity means everything. Because you have focused dispassion, if it is there, you have intensity will come. Then we know persistence effort. Nairantaryam. So we need to add this intensity and nairantaryam. And we also know that this is called prayatnam. But then we just saw it has to be for a long time. So if I do everything prolonged effort, I get abhyasam. So the definition of abhyasam, therefore, is a prolonged effort, intense effort, persistent effort, the right attitude. So now I know what is abhyasa means. I know what is vairagya means. Vairagya means emotional drain out of the way, focusing the attention. Now I am there. Yeah. So we take these two as, whenever I say yoga abhyasam in the future, it means yoga abhyasam with the vairagyam and the abhyasam. Now we look at the sutra itself. Drishta Anushravika Vishaya Vtrishnasya Vashikara Samya Vairagyam. Okay. We said that detachment is a result of Vairagyam. It is not detaching the objective stuff. I remember this reading some time back the story about how is Janaka, the king Janaka. This Janaka is not the Janaka of father of Sita. It's a different Janaka. He is revered. Everybody goes to him. Even the acharyas go to him and worship him. But he lives in a comfortable palace, Maharaja. So Shukacharya was very suspicious of it. How can he be a jnani? How can he be vairagya? So I want to really go and find out. So he goes to his palace. Shukacharya is the son of Vyasa. So when he goes there, Janaka sees him, and as soon as he comes, he says, "Yeah, we are just starting the day. We have some rituals to do. Before I engage time with you, I think you should see around the palace. So please go around and see the palace. By the way, just could you do me a favor?" I said, "Yeah. Just take this bowl of oil. When you finish, and come down and give it to the guard." Okay. So Sugar takes this bowl of oil. It's full of brim of oil there. And he walks. It's palatial, it's a Maharaja's palace. So many gates, so many corridors to walk through, and he's walking through. He walks through and finish and comes back to the thing. Maharaja is ready for his interview. And he asks him, "Very good, thank you so much. Did you see the palace?" And he says, "How can I see? I have not seen anything at all." So you spent last 1 hour going around? Well, I was carrying this oil pot brimming to the core. It should not spill. So my whole attention is in this. I did not see anything. I did not hear anything. I just came around and delivered to him as you suggested. Then Janaka says, that's fine. Now what do you want to ask? Did Sugar ask anything? No. What happened? It is proven to him, when you have undivided attention to what is to be done, no matter what is the ambience, no matter what is around you, doesn't matter. This is a very difficult thing to do. That's why Janaka is called a Maharishi. See, we're going to see in the stages of Vairagyam. Sometimes, we don't get Vairagyam, they say, oh, so much of disturbance in my meditating room. What I do, I'll soundproof the room. I close it. I put the triple glazed windows and close everything. Still not good. I go back to the mountain top or go to the cave. So we try to take the proximity of the physical body away from this. The act of renunciation physically is different from the spirit of renunciation. You may give up everything, go to Kashi or Rishikesh and sit in a cave, but you carry in your mind all your enmity, all your people. Because you said, I came here because my family is not helping me, my friends are deceiving me, business is collapsed. I sit down there and sit down and meditate and no, all this come to my mind. I have not renunciated. Vairagya mustn't come. Am I wearing a kavi? I can do all this? No. On the contrary, I am in the middle of this problem. I go and pick up people, drop them there and do things untouched. So that is what we have to aim for. Vairagyam, which is a spirit of renunciation, being unattached to things. Patanjali is going to say two different types of Vairagyam. In this sutra, he is going to talk about Drishta, Anushavika, Vishaya, Vairagyam. So, we will say what these two types are, then we can go back to the Vakyartham, so it will be much more clearer. The two types of Vairagyams are based on, again, two factors. When you typify, when you categorize, you must have a logic, right? The logic is that what is the driver for the Vairagyam? The Nimittam. What is that you got, therefore it becomes a Vairagyam? Well, I lost the business, Vairagyam. That's a Karana Vairagyam. We ignore that one. So there must be a Nimittam for the Vairagyam, and on which you have the Vairagyam, on which you have the dispassion going to come through. So these two factors decide what is the type of Vairagyam we are talking about. So the first one is called Apara Vairagyam. You obviously know what's the next one. In Sanskrit, A stands for antonym. So you change the word meaning. Second one is Para Vairagyam. So what is Apara Vairagyam? Apara generally means lower. It's not lower or inferior this way. You should not take it. Here Apara, the best way to take it is, Apara means relative. Relative. Whereas Para means absolute. So Apara Vairagyam means relative Vairagyam. Para Vairagyam means absolute Vairagyam. So absolute thing and relative things, you can see, you move from relative to absolute. Is it not? So when you say relative, I purposely use the word relative. Relative cannot be, you cannot be related, I cannot relate to myself. I'm related to my children, my wife, my friend, my bandhus, therefore relationship means there is something other than me. As a student of Vedanta, anything objectified is not you, that is Anatma. Therefore, if you deal with Anatma, it can be said it is a little bit lower, inferior in a way, but it's a very necessary stepping stone. So you don't consider inferior, superior, but consider Apara Vairagyam means relative Vairagyam. So what are the Nimittam for it? The Nimittam is, you have found out that objects of experience is impermanent. See, I told you that Vairagyam comes out of somebody's death or something lost or some trouble comes in. They are good triggers, they are good nimittam. But we need to convert that into an apara Vairagyam. So you see things that, well, everything is impermanent in life. This shall pass. Now everybody knows it. What's the point of knowing it? How do you actually transform that knowledge into a faculty in you that exhibit your character, exhibit your action, exhibit your behavior? I come and give some talk like this, and then I go home, and then a little scratch on my car, and my life is lost, and I'm crying. I don't live by it. Else it will hurt me, but it hurt a part of me which I can detach. So when you get this knowledge, not knowledge, more than knowledge, when you get this kind of experience, impact, and you want to hold on to it, to convert that, Vishada Yogam. See, the trick is to convert tragic incidents into a yoga. So then you will see, I am blessed because more trouble you have in life, God is loving you more. Honestly. Because every Laukika Shukam blinds you, right? So that's why Vivekam and Vairagyam, Vivekam triggers Vairagyam. Right now, what we are doing is we are getting Viveka Prapti. By talking, discussing, we are getting Vivekam. It should trigger Vairagyam in it. But Patanjali is putting important Vairagyam more. It's even Vedanta does it. Because at some stage, this Vairagyam becomes the Jnanam. I give an example. Keep the example in mind, we'll use it again. Suppose, a person is tied up in a lot of rope and a lot of bondage cut, he's put in a sack and he's there. Oxygen is fed to him and he can breathe and food is fed to him. Many days he was like this. And you know him, that person is a king or a chairman of a company or someone like that. But he doesn't know it because he's just lost his whole thinking faculty, tied up. So you go there and tell him, can you listen to me? Can you hear me? You are not this vegetated state. You should not be like this. You know who you are. You are the CEO of the company or the king or a chairman. You have money, you have car, you have family. You are telling the truth about him. In a way, you are giving the vivekam to him. How does it help him? In fact, he'll make him more suffering because now at least he was, like a piece of vegetation. He was just eating something and he was surviving it. Now we injected him who he really is. Now his mind is playing a role. I am a king. What am I doing? Suffering. But I'm not saying the Vivekam is not important. Vivekam is important. But on the contrary, if you take a knife and start cutting his rope. Now imagine, you didn't tell him anything, right? You didn't tell him. Now I'm deliberately saying this example so that it helps me to connect you to something else. So suppose you don't tell him anything, but you see him, but you know that he is a king. Now you go and take a knife and cut his bondage so that he can be free. And he comes out. He's asking for food. Because he has been so living in the state of affairs, food comes to him, oxygen comes through nose, and he is just mushroom management. So even the liberation is not realized because he hasn't got the jnana. See, therefore, Vivekam is also important. They are like two sides of the same coin. But here we are talking about the Vairagyam. So therefore, That's the reason why I think the learners say the method of learning. That's the reason why we follow the same path. We've gone through the Vedanta introduction, we've gone through Tattvabodha, and then we come to yoga so that we can get some vivekam, some vairagyam, and some abhyasam. We go back to Vedanta later, so that it's a kind of a mix. Okay. So nimittam is impermanence of the objects, and the vishayam therefore is the object itself. The moment you know things are impermanent in life, what you should do, therefore you don't give them the attention that you need to give. Bring the word attention to it. It's not disowning it, not throwing it away, you cannot go back home and say, look, I just been to this Vedanta class, son, wife, brother, sister, I don't care. Everybody is impermanent. You don't do that. That's wrong. But because you have a role to play. But your attention is looking at the impermanence of objects. Because if you always maintain, especially when you enjoy something, that this will be impermanent, you are better off. I may sound like a sadist. Why when life is enjoyable, why should I think that it will go away? But I'm not saying this. Upanishad says it. Think that way. Then what will happen is, you would enjoy it, but you also observe your enjoyment. Attention. See, the very important is that if you know how to get the attention of it, you can stand at ease at any time, still being attentive to what need to be attended to. That is vairagya. Not hate, not dislike. But here he is talking about apara vairagyam, which is a vairagyam on things that are related to you. So that means your vishaya is your objects of experience, your family, your relationship, your objects, your world. Okay, I have objects, world. Where do I apply the vairagyam? Well, that requires some more discussion on it, some more practice on it. But focus now is, before you can achieve para vairagyam, you should try and achieve apara vairagyam. The world we deal with this. Now you understand the sutra's meaning very easily. Let's see the word by word meaning. Drishta means seen, perceived by eyes, ears, everything. So whatever you see in the world, drishta. Anushavika. Anushavika means that you have listened to through tradition or scriptures. In other words, things that you don't see directly, you don't perceive directly. You read or listen or from somebody else. Of course, we don't listen from a lunatic or a madman. We go to the Apta-Purushas. Therefore, you can take it to Shastras. So therefore, we can say all what Shastra gives that you have not seen. For example, Swarga, Intraloka, Vaikuntha, Kalpataru, Kamadhenu, Naraga, hell, everything, whatever you say. That you have a Shraddha on it, but you have not seen it. Because when you go to this, some karma you do, they say Prayachita karma, do it there, Putra Kameshti Yaga. You get a son. You do a Adrishtapalan, you offer something to Devendra or somewhere sitting there, and he is going to grant you a son. You do it. So the Vedas give you a lot of Adrishtapalam rituals. But here, we wipe clean. All that is to be vairagyam. See, because we are trying to be on the higher side of the understanding. Please don't mistake me, because you still have to do the early step, kindergarten. You need to do step by step. You need to do prayers. You can go to God and ask for things. Who else? Who better to ask for things? But the beauty is, if you ask me for a help, I may do, I may not do. Or if I do it, if I'm a bad person, I am a bad person, I may be using it to leverage on you. Even the relatives would say, look, I gave you that. But if you go to God and ask for it, that's good. Therefore, go and ask for God things. But the thing is, God is akarta. So when you ask God, please give me this result, He will make you do what you need to do to get the result. Or He'll make you do or behave the way you behave so that you can face the consequence. You see? So therefore, I think that step is important. So I'm not saying the lakshyartham for adrishtapalam or drishtapalam. If we just literally take, and that means I should not do punya karyam. Shastra says you do punya, you get punya janma, nara janma would come or deva janma would come. Don't I have to ask for it? Of course you do ask for it. But there comes a time that these things are not me. So we are talking about that time. And that time, see, time is not something, future is not that something that hasn't come yet here. No, we say that future is coming. Past is gone. We psych ourselves with the time. It's a very beautiful tool. Many things in life is fictional, we use it, Like let X be the something in the mathematics we do. We forget the X, we don't need it anymore. We do. This is very important in life. Many things doesn't exist, but we use it to move along. So all this is like this. So here he talks about Drishta, Vishaya, object of experience. Trishna means craving. Trishna means craving. Trishna means opposite, not craving. Trishnasya. There's a vibhakti of. So you don't have a craving of. So you should say drishta vishya trishnasya. So I don't have a craving for what is available, what is unseen. That one is called Vashikara Sabnya. Sabnya means you can say known as, defined as. What is it defined as? This drishta, adrishta vishaya craving that is gone, that is called Vashikara Vairagyam. So he is defining, he asked for what is Vairagyam, but he is defining Vashikara Vairagyam. That means, are there many types of Vairagyam? Well, there's a clue here. Basically, it's a stage of Vairagyam, which is important because he is striving towards what you need to achieve to become a yogi. Therefore, he is looking for a stage where you are in control. Vashikara. No, if somebody has attracted me, I become mesmerized by them, means that person has got control. He is a Vashikaran. So everything that takes our attention away, they have control. But if I get the attention back to me, I am the Vashikar. I am in control. So here he talks about when you have the attention, now you see, it's not detachment that is alone gives a meaning, it's attention that gives a meaning. You are attending to something by which everything else, why say everything else? Drishta Anushrabhika Vishaya. So if I am getting attention to something, as a result of it, I have no attention, I have given up attachment to Drishta and Adrishta Vilam. Who am I attending to? Because your mind needs to hold on to something, is it not? You cannot, without holding anything, you cannot. Mind cannot exist unless it goes to sleep. Even then sleep we saw, it is holding on to Nidra Prati. So you hold on to a vritti, which is the foremost vritti. What is vritti? Vritti is thought modification. What is the first vritti you have, which you cannot recognize, but it happens? It doesn't happen in the children, the child. That's why you worship child as a god. Why the child? Child can be any child. He may be a sinner born in this world. He may become a murderer in the later years of life. But when he was a child, when a not knowing child, the early infancy, first few days of the childhood, it's like God. Why? It's not having any power. After all, you need to feed it. It's a little, baby, and when you give a bath to it and all that, it's like worshipping the God. Especially in our dharma. Why? Because, in my very humble view, because it does not have the foremost vritti that we all have when we suffer from. What is a vritti? It's called aham vritti. The vritti of myself, I. We are going to see how this vritti is the most divine vritti when we understand who the aham is. But until then, we do not know. We have a notional idea. So here, therefore, the implication, what you have to understand, the lakshyartham is very different from the vakyartham. So vakyartham is what? I have vairagyam in everything I see. So it's not hate. You don't run away from anything from tomorrow. You will have an attitude, all shall pass. You ask the question, how to practice it? I'm not an expert, but I give you a little bit. I understand how it works. So you look at the computer, or you look at your hand or something. You just try to give attention to it. Give attention, 100%. Try to give attention of it. You deliberately labor it. Tell your mind, look at their hand. Keep looking at it. Probably you may notice your hand, many things that you have not even noticed before. Try to see it. Then you just ignore it. Think it shall pass. Why am I thinking about it? You put a thought to it. And you look at what am I thinking. So you look at the hand, look intensely, see it. Then you try to withdraw from it and generate a thought that I am withdrawing, I am seeing this, I am not seeing it. Now you see, you are able to really, for that few moments, maybe it's 30 seconds you did or 1 minute, you are trying to be attentive to focus where you need to focus. You can do it. Everybody can do it. So but here Patanjali is saying, if you are able to do that for everything, it's because while you are detaching yourself from others, you are attaching yourself to that which is holding your attention. That we are going to see in the next sutra anyway. So therefore, it is a mastery established of all craving objects of the senses and the mind. We remember in Tattva Bodha we saw Viraga Haka Swarga Bhogyeshu Ichcha Rahityam. There we saw this. We saw there. Now you'll understand. There we saw a definition for Apara Vairagyam. Here what is it? Iha Swarga Bhogyeshu Ichcha Rahityam. Iha, in this world, Swarga, other world, Bhogyeshu, all the good things. Ichcha Rahityam. Rahita means without consort, without it. Sahita means with, Rahita means without. Ichcha Rahita means without desire on this and that. So what is it? So if you tomorrow if you go back and revise your Tattvabodha, you will see that shloka defines Apara Vairagya, because now you know Patanjali Sutra. We know that. Okay. I take 5 minutes maybe to come to a logical conclusion here. So this, it's all fine. Too much of technical jargon terms. But how do I move to that one? You said in the sutra, Vashikara Vairagya. But then you typify Apara Vairagyam. How does it fit? So the Vairagyam here we talks about the maturity of the aspirant in attaining the Vairagya. In the Sutra, Patanjali has given a name for it, Vashikara Vairagyam. Therefore, he attained a stage. What is the stage? We saw where you can renunciate Ikapara Sukha. So that is a stage. But I'm not there. Because after the class is over, now I look for sumptuous food. I'm salivating now. So how am I going to go there? So for that, there are first stage is called Yathamanam. So Yathamanam Vairagyam is, the word Yathamanam in Sanskrit, listen, this is Patanjali's terms are very technical terms. So if you go and look at the dictionary, you may find slightly different meaning. But you should take, it's a glossary, right? Like, you got a medical glossary, you take a term, you won't find a dictionary meaning for it. But generally, literal meaning is, Yathamanam is something which you measure, something you scale. So the Apara Vairagyam attains the initial stage of Yathamanam, where we started looking at our objects of experiences and trying to see from which I should really get out of it, because that is what causing me the impediments. Say for example, coffee. So I like simple example first. Coffee is really hitting me because last week I was in Brazil or somewhere trekking and I couldn't have coffee. My head was aching, my day was spoiled. What do? Then you decide, I'm going to give up coffee. How can coffee control me? So you take it. So this is at the Manam stage. So you measured it and say, look, coffee is something which is the first one I want to try it out. So I want to go ahead and do something about it. For example, what do you do? One sadhu did, and he liked sweets all the time. And he was diabetic, and what he does is he said, bring all the sweets, keep in front of me. And he'll be watching it all the time. 2 hours. Then he said, take it away. After a few days. So same way you can do, ask your partner to give me a cup of coffee. Aroma comes in, steam comes in, silver cup, tempting. Just watch it. When you're watching it, bring your mind to think about what am I watching. Then you focus on not on the watched object, but the thought that is questioning your thinking. Then you are moving away from that to this. You would sort it out. Try, but dirghagale, nairandriya, So when you are able to do that, of course, coffee is an important first step, but you go a little bit further, the greed it's very important to learn yoga. In anything in life, you must have a self-appraisal. We are very afraid to appraise ourselves, Appraisal is a gift of nature, gift of management. In our office, we do what's called a 360-degree appraisal. Many of you go through it. Appraisal is not just a manager to a staff, and it's kind of a work-oriented. It is relationship-oriented, 360 degrees. Everybody appraise you, and you look for comments which will make you better. But we cannot, even our in a life, the close family relationship, if you tell no, maybe you should do differently, they get hurt. But the ego comes in. You lose out. No. It's an opportunity because, we can't even see ourselves, you can't see your face. You put a mirror, you can see something. You can't see your back, you can't see many things in your body, even outside. So how do we know that we know ourselves? We do not know. So how about if I invite comments, people may use to abuse me, so be it. So what? Because they may not tell all the truth. They may have, enmity towards you. They may abuse you. Fine. But you're going to be detached. But if you hear comments, if you have criticism, then you know that, okay, that's what I need to really focus on. So Yathamanam is a stage where we need to really find out what is that stops me progress in life. And I develop Vairagyam on it. So you've done that. So you've taken that, you You should do it quite a lot of yatamanam. You should know, I have no coffee I need. Well, I can, no, I have to do even a satkaryam, I do the puja every day, for example, you do. And for whatever reason, you're not able to do the puja. So you are not well or something like that happened. And you struggle, you grieve. In a way, it is good because you grieve because you've not done it. But that means you also don't have vairagyam on it. Because you give so much of attachment to the act of worshipping. The act of renunciation is there, but not a state of renunciation. So you need to develop this yatamanam. It's very important. What the best way to do that is, what you cannot live without, try to live without it. We did once. We took a holiday and no telephone, no television. It's itching. I tell you, it's torture to the children. But after second day, it suddenly you find it so much to talk about, so much to see, so much time is spent on your hand. You notice something that your partner is wearing, you have not seen it before, because all the time you see on the phone. So this is all yatamanam stage. Now you've done it, then you come to stage. Vyatireka means compare, contrast. Now you think, okay, I have now sorted out. I sorted out coffee problem, no problem. I can take a Kailash trip. Coffee is not important for me. I have achieved this. So you think through it and focus on what is missing. And then you're moving away from the senses to the mind. So it's a second stage of Yatirekam. We'll see it later in deeper. Then you come to the Ekendriyam. Now, it's very simple. Eka Indriyam. Here he says mind also Indriyam, but of course mind is not Indriyam, but it talks about mind. So I have now got the control over my senses. You can place me in anywhere. I found it it's very useful exercise. You try to go in a crowded place. In fact, personally, I think if there is no sound, I feel it a bit unsettled. But if there is a lot of noise, I can happily read a book, write something. You are able to focus. So Ekendriyam is where you have control on the senses, but your mind is something that you need to bring attention to. Now when you pass that, so that means here you have, sleep may come. Because when you are dhyanam, sleep may come. All that you pass through. Then you achieve the stage of Vashikar. So I'm going to stop it here. So here, Patanjali talked about the Vashikara Vairagyam. That means you come to the fourth stage of it. So let us stop it here and then take the Shanti part. Om Asadoma Satkamaya.
Om
Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya.
Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya.
Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya.
Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.